Hello everyone, how are we all doing? I hope that we all are safe and well. Heading into a new month tomorrow, the 1st of November, 8 weeks out from Christmas. Let's knuckle down, let's hit that big red reset button and let's get focused again. So a quick snippet of this week's talk for anyone that missed it or wants to listen in on the main points again. It's titled The 7 Types of Rest. I have a poster here beside me. I'm in a different location tonight, but you will hear probably the fireworks and bangers going off behind me simply because it is Halloween night. So that's why I want to stay safe. But the 7 types of rest is really important. So what we have up first is physical rest. So physical rest comes in different ways, and sometimes you don't realise, you might be saying 7 types of rest, like I'm only aware like of mental rest or physical rest. But the first one is lying down without screens. So it's really important, whether on a recliner, on a yoga mat, lying on the bed, whatever that might be, is just to lie down without any outside noise. Your body needs to recharge, like we recharge the phones or the cars if you have an electric car. Certain things have to be charged. So therefore, why are we not recharging ourselves to be on our A game? Really important to have that physical rest, not be like the hamster on the wheel, all that go. Just because everyone else out there looks that way, it doesn't mean that it's right, and it doesn't mean that we have to be in that same state of just manic all the time. The second point then is gentle stretching as well, or lymphatic drainage. Okay, so I'd really like us to tap into that vagus nerve relaxation. Look at my YouTube channel, have typed that in, and you'll have the exercise that's in there as well. Then what you have is a warm bath or a sauna. How lovely are both of those if you had one after the other, but definitely a nice warm bath, maybe light a bit of lavender, have candles and just switch off, enjoy the heat on the body, or like the sauna. And I did share that about the sauna sanctuary out in the Pavilions and Swords. I did share that into our group, so have a little look in the group there as well, and we will talk more about that at class next week, because we might do it as a group venture. I think it's a nice way just to get together outside a club as well. Then what we have is a gentle evening walk. So why is it evening and not a gentle morning walk? Is because evening we're getting to wind down basically for sleep, so that's really important. I know with my 2 young kids that it's the routine, it's the calm before sleep, so it's the same for us to have that gentle walk. Obviously where it's safe, we have Malahide Castle near us, we have St Anne's Avenue, we have Santry Woods, there's loads of places around. Just to make sure that we are safe and in a well-lit area would be the advice on that. Number 2 then is to have mental rest, okay, so turning off notifications for an hour. So 1 hour a day, just to have that downtime. It could be 7 to 8 in the evening, it could be 8 to 9 in the morning. When you know you can just switch off, the phone is there. For me, I have to jig it around schools and creches in case they ring or different things. So I know the time of day that's best for me, just to leave the phone down, turn off notifications, that beeping is not, even turn the phone on silent and just have it in a different room to really have that mental rest. Then what we have is writing thoughts onto paper. There's nothing like the written word. I love getting a card, I love getting a hand-wrote letter, and I love writing cards myself, rather than everything being on the phone and that mindless scrolling, one rabbit hole into the other. Then what we have is doing, and it's really important with that writing thoughts onto paper, rather than the thoughts looping around in our head. So I did put a good image up on my socials and also into our WhatsApp app group about that. So do have a look back on that during the week. And then the last one on the mental rest is doing one task at a time, because sometimes, well, if you're like me, you start one thing, go to another, come back, and then you forget where you were in between, you forget even why you walked into that particular room. So it is just to do one thing, one task at a time, master that, and then we can move on to the rest. We don't have to have all the balls juggling in the air at the same time. Number 3 then is to have emotional rest. That's really important. And again, why are we talking about all these different types of rest? Is because if we're not rested, we're going to be making the wrong food choices, we're going to be overindulging, choosing the wrong type of food, maybe missing class, in our head we think we've put on weight, and then that's just more spiralling thoughts that we have control to stop them. So what we can control, and what we can't, we have to let go. Okay, so we did talk a lot about that in class lately. So the emotional rest is really important because it says speaking honestly without people pleasing. Okay, so I know we're all guilty of that. So just to speak honestly, have those honest conversations rather than doing the Irish thing of lift the rug up, brush it all under there. We're suppressing our own feelings. I'm not talking about having argy-bargy all the time, but we don't have to be people pleasing. Question, who is people pleasing us? Okay, our next one then is crying or expressing frustration. There's nothing wrong with crying. We're from a generation where we probably would have been told, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about, or your bladder's always behind your eye. There is nothing wrong with crying or expressing our frustration, letting our feelings be known, because your feelings are relevant to you. Okay, Next what we have is time outdoors, basically out in nature is very good for our emotions. Another one there that we have is time alone to process feelings. So some people are just afraid to be alone. It was brought up in class, and I'm really kind of looking into that and exploring why that is. But I would know a lot of people that they're afraid to have that alone time. They're afraid to be on their own. So we're not talking about for long periods of time. We're talking just time alone, just to process, digest what's going on with our mental health as well, obviously our physical health. Then what we have is therapy, journaling, or EFT tapping. So this is a new one, and this is one that I absolutely just love. So EFT, what it actually is emotional freedom therapy, okay? So how does that work, okay? We are going to talk about it more at class, but it's basically tapping into your own body, okay? So if we have a trauma or we have an emotion, it's to really focus on that emotion. And the EFT, the freedom tapping, is certain points on the body. So it's linked into Chinese medicine, so it's around probably from the 1990s. So a place here be on the head, so just tapping, but you're going to visualise the thought, the feeling, or what the trauma is, okay? Also there's 4 points here on the forehead, also here, okay? A good one that I find, because then nobody's going to question what you're actually doing, is on the chin. So it's just really about grounding ourselves. Also the collarbone is a good one. Here on the tummy or else under the arms is a good one. So I do find the collarbone, especially if I'm in the car, or the chin, places that people wouldn't really question why we're doing that. I think if I was to do this, a lot of people would say, Clodagh, what are you doing? But it is very good at just calming. It's breaking the signal between the mind to stop those thoughts as well from spiraling. So it is important to practice that tapping as well and find where your point is. It might be somewhere different. It could be the forehead for you, but find out where yours is, or else on the head here. So just tap. So it's obviously gentle tapping as well. So number 4, what we have is sensory rest. So we're very aware of sensory. A lot of people will be sensory, a lot of children will be sensory. So it's just about dimming lights or spending time in nature. So it's nice to sit in a nice calm room, maybe a lamp and just candles on rather than loads of light. I do find, in, as we call in Ireland, the big light, which I have on here, it can be a trigger for me that I feel kind of jerked instantly when it goes on. So it is important to know your sensory and know what the triggers are. 2 then is no background noise, no outside noise, because you know yourself, it can get a little bit much. So screens, music, everything, just to have that quiet time for the sensory. Then wearing soft clothes, so who doesn't love nice soft pyjamas or a nice house coat or a nice soft towel when we get out of the shower. Again, just to go barefoot, that's another great one. I know Pilates and yoga would really promote that, is to go barefoot. So it doesn't have to be out in nature. And I know it might sound a little bit hippie, but it actually works. Okay, these are the experts that are telling us this. Then what we have is screens off before bed. So definitely 2 hours before bed, get those phones down, stop that mindless scrolling, rabbit hole into rabbit hole. Number 5 then we have a social rest, so time away from draining relationships. So I'm sure that we all know somebody in our lives, let's say, work lives, neighbours, could be any mix in there that just kind of just drain our tea lights, as I say. So we just need a little bit of time away from that. You will know that, set the boundaries in there as well. Say no without guilt. And remember, like the 7 types of rest, rest does not have to be earned. Rest is a given, okay? So not to feel guilty about it. Then we have deep calm time of people who regulate us. So people don't have us high or low, but they're just calm to be around it. They regulate us and not spirals from one side to the other. Then what we have is a weekend with no social plans. We don't have to be on the clock. I took one of those weekends last weekend. I didn't want to know the time, I didn't want to have the phone, and I didn't have a watch because I just didn't want to know, and I knew that's what I needed, and I'm so much better for us. So I can have a weekend without social plans. We don't have to be on that go-go train, as I call it. Then what we have number 6 is creative rest, okay? So it just says there, bring basically being in nature or cooking without pressure, without being on that time clock again. Also what we have is listening to music or to art that is going to calm the mind. And then what we have is decorating or writing just for you. Okay, so I think that's a really important one. Art galleries is great. You'll know your own type of music that is good for your own mental health or your type of rest. Number 7 then what we have is spiritual rest. So we do all have different beliefs. But it is important to be in touch with that. So just as the poster here says, Feeling connected to something bigger, so it could be faith, purpose, or it could be nature. Then number 2 is to gratitude or reflection practice. That's really important to practice that. There's always a positive to a negative. I know it's hard when you're in that moment, but there is always the positive. Meditation, prayer, or breath work, okay? So we have done a lot of breath work in class as well. So basically it just says when your body gets all 7 types of rest, cortisol starts to balance. So cortisol is the stress hormone, so who doesn't want that to balance? Let's take on board these 7 types of rest. Your mood lifts and you stop living in constant survival mode. That flight or flight is there constantly because we just live in such a high-paced, stressful world. To calm that down, calm down that hormone cortisol. It's really, really very important for us on our wellness journey. And your little affirmation this week is learn to let yourself rest. It's a given and you don't have to earn it, folks. So please, let's really focus on our rest. Let's have a restful weekend, and I'll see you all in class next week. Remember, it's measuring week next week because it's the first week of the month. Hard to believe we're into November, 8 weeks out from Christmas. Half a stone, £7 to £10 is what's definitely there for the taking, and I'm here to help you do that. Stay safe, everyone. Big hugs and kisses, and thank you for your support. It's so much appreciated. And love and kisses from me.